Hey everybody, thanks for joining us and a happy belated Veterans Day. Wanted to jump into a fun little topic for us this week. The big mistakes you must avoid or learn early. It's kind of this hindsight is 2020 type conversation. This is great for the younger generations to understand that these are things that really can make a big difference in their life. But there's also things that people heading into retirement should have or would have or could have learned earlier. So let's look at the first one. Mistake number one for the younger generations is please, please, please never pass up free money. I mean, really, free money. You got to take advantage of that, especially in the 401k systems with our employers. The earlier you learn this, the more money you're going to have in retirement. The vast majority of our clientele has actually earned and saved every penny that they have. They've worked hard for it. And that's because they were diligent at an early part of their life. So that's really important for us to understand. This is where you make a big difference, and how much money you'll have later is how early you start and recognize all this free money. So my example on the screen here is Adam and Michael. Adam doesn't believe in the 401k system, and he takes home his whole paycheck. Michael decided he's going to start putting $100 out of his paycheck away. Okay, so 401k deduction from Michael is $100, whereas Adam, he's going to take it all home. Taxable income is $2,000 for Adam, but $1,900 for Michael. And that's the magic of the traditional 401k, is we get to pull out that $100 from the taxable income. So we're paying taxes on less income, which now means the amount of taxes we're going to pay is at a lower rate or lower amount. Okay, so we get to save money for Michael on taxation. So then Adam goes and throws this $100 in. But the take-home pay, look at this. Take-home pay, Adam saved $100 in his savings account, and the money he has in his pocket is only $1,350, whereas Michael saved it in the 401k, and he has $1,378 in his pocket. So he's got more money in his pocket. The cost of the investment, because Michael saved money on taxes, the cost of him investing that $100 was only $73. Adam, it cost him the full $100. But here's the crazy part. Michael's company gave him an extra $100. So he really invested $200, but it only cost him $73. That's more than a 200% return. That's a huge return on your investment, and you haven't even really invested it yet. So we've got to know that free money is extremely powerful. We've got to take advantage of it, and the earlier we realize that, the more of a difference that's going to make later in life. Mistake number two. This one's changes through life. Okay, retirees need to learn this too. Understand health insurance coverage. Understand the benefits that you have at work. Understand how to use those health insurance coverage options that you have. Maybe you get free health club memberships and you've been paying for one. There are a lot of benefits out there for your health insurance. Okay, so first thing is understand the basics. Understand what a deductible is. Understand what a copayment is, what coinsurance is. Understand how much your premiums are going to be and what your network is. Don't rush off and run to the first doctor because you got a problem and not realize that you have an in-network and out-of-network, because the coverage in-network is much better than the coverage out-of-network, and you might end up with an enormous medical bill if you end up in an out-of-network doctor. So be very careful about that. Some really big money mistakes happen because we don't understand our health insurance. The other side of this is when you're deciding how and where and which health insurance program to go with, you need to figure something out really basic, how to compare the two. And so I always tell people, figure out what this health insurance policy is going to cost you if you don't use it, right? If you're healthy, you never go to the doctor all year long, how much do you have to pay? Write that number down, okay? Because that should be 1 year's worth of premiums you're going to have to pay, because you don't have to worry about deductibles or any of the other stuff because you didn't need it. The other thing I want you to do then for the same policies, you want to sit there and calculate out what your maximum exposure is. What's 1 year's worth of premiums? Plus, what's your deductible? What's your co-pays? What are you exposed to paying if you use it and use it and use it and use it all year long? Okay. That way, if you have those two numbers, you can kind of have a better view of what your decision is really going to be. And if you're a very healthy person, you want to lean towards the less expensive in terms of if you don't use it. If you have medical issues, then you want the one that has better coverage if you do use it. Okay. Next one. Please don't use your 401k as a credit card. Please. Please. It's really easy to tell people not to go to the money lending place that has their neon lights on at night, and you kind of sneak in the middle of the night and get your paycheck loan. It's kind of obvious to stay away from stuff like that. But the 401k, it's about discipline, to be real honest. We can't look at it as a credit card. Fine, you want to use it for a really big emergency. As long as you know you can get it paid back, go for it. But this is discipline. The money you're putting in there, don't touch it until retirement. You need to be diligent about investing. You need to start young. You need to be consistent, and you need to be disciplined to not touch this money. That's your retirement money. Okay. It's not to pay for kids' college. It's not to pay for a car. It's not to do any of that stuff. You have a real emergency and you're in real trouble. Okay. If that's your last option, then we go for it. All right. Everybody's got to learn a little bit of this. Look, trying to time the market or chase hot stock tips. I just had this conversation a few minutes ago. We need to be very careful about this. I learned at a young age that by the time the hot stock tip got to me, it was too late. All right. Even being in this business, on top of things every single day, by the time the hot stock tips get running around, the stock's already gone up because there's so much big, deep pocket money out there that are creating these opportunities that are way ahead of you. There's insider trading that's legal, believe it or not. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. So be careful about your hot stock tips. I am a huge advocate of having a little piece of your portfolio, especially younger in life, for you to play around with. I don't have a problem with that because it teaches you lessons. But please, please don't do these things with all your money. You purposely create a small little extra account that you're going to play with, and that's it. The rest of your investing should be solid, diversified, stable. You should be looking at your time constraints. If you're young, you have a long time. You should just own the stock indices as efficiently as you can, meaning none of these extra advisory fees, none of this jumping in and out of mutual funds. You need to consistently be investing, and you need to keep it as streamlined as possible. That is by far the best thing historically for people, okay? Trying to pick and choose when to be in the market and out of the market, or the hot stock tips, that is only going to hurt you in your overall performance. It's been proven over and over and over and over again. Warren Buffett puts his standing bet out there for anybody to beat the S&P 500 in a certain time period, and he wins all the time. So don't get into this buying and selling and day trading away. We'll have good periods where you make tons of money, and then all of a sudden it'll fall apart and you'll be back to waiting tables. We've got to stay away from that kind of volatility. Making it rich, going broke 2 days later. This is one of my favorites. How many of you have vices? How many of you, do you go to Starbucks every day? That was my pet peeve. I would go to Starbucks too often, because if I went at all, it was too often. And now the price of those coffees, cups of coffee, are just insane. Okay, so if you don't go there, some people go to Circle K and get their snacks and their Monster Energy drink, and some people go to happy hour. I mean, nowadays, happy hour, you get a martini for $15, $18. It's ridiculous. So we got to think about this. We got to start realizing what we're doing to ourselves. If you start young enough and realize these stupid little things that we do, we could make our coffee at home, make our martini at home, and save tons of money, right? So if we save ourselves $5 a day, stop something that costs you $5 a day. That's $25 a work week. That's not even all 7 days. That's just 5 days, right? That's $1,300 a year. If you invest that in the typical 401k with a match, that's over $1 million in retirement. I'm not joking. You fixing something that's costing you an extra $5 a day, investing that could get you $1 million in retirement. And it's real money. That's not funny math. That's real math. It's pretty powerful when you think about it that way. And now, I want you to think about this concept of procrastination. Okay? The younger we can get our kids to invest, the younger we can put the discipline into the younger generations. Holy cow, it makes such a difference. And every time I do this math, I have to check the math myself because I don't believe what I'm looking at. So I got the age for an early saver versus a procrastinator. In starting to invest at 28, boy, that's not even considered really young. To be real honest, you better figure out that you have to save money by 28. Okay, so let's look at that. The procrastinator doesn't even start saving until they hit their 40s usually. Okay, so but this person at 28 to 38, they save $4,000 a year for 10 years. That's $40,000 that they saved and invested. The procrastinator saved nothing. Then from 39 to 64, that's a whole lot of years, right? 25 years there. The early saver ran into life, had kids, and just lived paycheck to paycheck and survived. Okay? But the procrastinator woke up and said, oh no, I got to start saving. So they started saving $4,000 a month for 4,000 a year for 25 years. That's $100,000 of their own money they had to save. One saved for 10 years, the other saved for 25 years. Who had more money at 65? And what's amazing to me is look at the difference. That early saver only saved $40,000 of their own money, but because of the compounding growth over time, all that time, that money was just sitting in there growing and growing and growing. They had $428,000. Whereas the procrastinator had to save for 25 years, $4,000, $4,000, $4,000, and they only had $315,000 to show for it. That's crazy. And that shows the power of learning that you invest earlier. That's why some of these kids are going to be retiring in their early 50s. It's ridiculous. We're seeing some kids out there extremely disciplined because their parents taught them young and they got a good career out of college and they realized and they started saving right away. So we have 20-year-olds that have been saving money since, their early 20s. It's fantastic to see. But the vast majority of us are procrastinators and we got to play catch up. And that means we got to have a lot more of our own money saved versus the house's money. Okay. I've got 6 more coming up next week. All right. So come back. These are going to be geared more towards transitioning into those retirement years, things we should have learned or we should know in our retirement years. Hindsight's 2020. To me, it's always fun to look at these little things that we wish we knew. We didn't have to learn the hard way. So let us know if we can help out in any way. If you like these videos, share them with your friends, share them with your kids. I love doing this stuff, and I'm going to keep coming up with fun little things to do, and the lists are always plentiful. So give us a call if we can help out in any way, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. We'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.